Welcome everybody to How to Thrive in the New Normal of Work webinar. And I see people, from Singapore, from Philippines, Indonesia, Malaysia as well. So welcome everybody. So some housekeeping rules. So this session is being recorded and we'll send you all a replay later. So please make sure you remain muted and your camera is off throughout the entire session. So the spotlight will be on the speaker. And if you have any questions, please leave them on the chat box and I'll read it out for you during the Q&A. So for those of you who may not know who I am, my name is Sabrina. I'm the founder and CEO of Half the Sky, a career platform for diverse talent. So today we're very fortunate to have Tanie to share her thought leadership with us. So a quick introduction. Tanie is currently the Asia Pacific Vice President of Human Resources for UPS, and she has more than 25 years of HR experience across Asia, Europe, and US. Tanie is also an active advocate for women's in leadership development, diversity, and inclusion. And in her free time, she enjoys coaching and mentoring and spending time with her lovely family. She lives in Singapore with her husband and daughter. So welcome, Tanie, and we're very lucky to have you today.
Thank you, Sabrina. It's really my pleasure to be able to share with you and to dialogue with you. And also, hopefully I can answer the questions and also to dialogue with the participants here. So looking forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Tanie. So COVID-19 has changed everything. We're now all staying at home, working from home and social distancing. As we slowly adjust to a new normal, how exactly will businesses and workers adapt? And HR participants will be essential in shaping the post-COVID workplace, which is likely to be the most drastic workplace transformation in our lifetime. Many employees wondering what comes next and are seeking answers and looking for HR leaders for guidance. So for the next 30 minutes, I'm going to dig deeper with Tanie on how we can thrive in the new normal of work in short, medium, and long term, followed by a Q&A session. So Tanie, many workers are battling a loss of normalcy in their daily lives. How has you and your team assisted 13,000 employees adjust to the rapid changes brought on by COVID-19? I think, Tanie, you are muted, sorry.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Thank you. Okay, so yeah, thanks for the question. And before I start, I want to say something, and that is, everyone in this call, whether you are a HR professional like myself, or you are, doing different aspects of your work, or even if you are seeking employment, my comment is this: I want to say thank you. Now, why do I want to say that? Because each one of us, we have our own difficulties and struggles, especially during this period. And it's really not easy to get through this unprecedented time. We all said that. And indeed, it is not easy, but somehow each one of us, we have to find ways to navigate through this, to support our families, to support ourselves and find ways to, make the best out of this. So with that, I just want to say thank you to each one of you because, especially now at this time, all the more humanity has to come together, right? We whether I know you, you know me, or you don't know each other, we all don't know each other, it doesn't matter because we are in this together. So I just want to say thank you and encourage everyone, to chin up. Don't let this, be a cloud over our heads. Things will get by. At the end of the day, we just need to ask ourselves how we want to surface out of this differently and better. So I just want to start with that before I go into the question. I hope that's okay.
Of course, Tanie. So so back to the questions. How has you and your team assist all the employees, through the change?
Yeah. So I would say that UPS, we have quite a big workforce. As you can see, 13,000 employees is really not easy. However, one advantage that we had back in fact, it's back on 2003, we had the experience of SARS. We went through SARS. In fact, I was in the middle of it. I was the person charting for the company in terms of getting all the preventive measures in place. So when COVID came, the first thing I did was to, took out and dust off what we have done before. And I would say that the sense of urgency really helped. Because, just like any one of us, when we go through any difficulty, challenges, or emergency, what do we look out for? We look out for people around us who is able to reach out, who is able to help us. So the sense of urgency kind of helped us, because all our leaders quickly, we went into swift and quick decisions in terms of what we want to do to help our employees, to protect our workforce. So the very first thing we tell ourselves is, look, business is important. However, we set the priority of the top priority at that moment is we want to protect our people. So straight away, we go into incident response management, looking at the PPEs, the personal protective equipment, making sure that everyone, we told them what to do, what not to do, social distancing, before all the governments have outlined that, because of the SARS experience that we had before. And also communicate, as much as we know about this virus, we communicate as much as we know. And then we are trying to also at the same time allay fears. And that was also my past experience where, I can put in measures, I can distribute PPEs, I can buy things for people, but fear management is the most difficult to handle. So the first thing is, after we lay off all the physical, requirements, the next one, the big wave coming is communication. We rather over communicate. We share as much as we can. The leaders are always out. When I say out there, meaning, as much as we can reach to everyone, letting them know that, look, any concern, please come to us. And then we will keep educating, informing, asking what we have done in a nutshell. I mean, there are plenty that we have done, but in a nutshell, this is what we did.
That's really good to hear. And Tanie, for the last few months, it has been very traumatic for many workers. How can we improve workers' morale post-COVID-19?
Yeah, I'm a person where I believe that relationship is important. So if you talk about morale, I will ask myself, have we been able to establish those relationships with our people and amongst our employees? And I go back to trust and believable, because as much as the employee is prepared to listen to you, they need to trust you. They need to trust me. They need to trust the leadership. So I would say that building trusting relationship is important as a foundation to build to enhance and improve the morale. At the same time, again, I'm speaking from a company standpoint that, during this period, people wants to know the certainty. So what can we provide certainty to our people? Be it company's direction, be it the priorities that we want to set for our company and our people, those has to be communicated loud and clear, so that we can have the peace of mind by our employees. They need to feel safe and protected, because I always believe that without people, companies can't go on. It is the people who bring the business forward, not the processes, not the equipment, not the engines, So that's why foremost, my belief, and I managed to convince my UPS leadership, is always take care of our people first. Yeah. So I would say that morale, once people believe what you say, what you do, they will be with you and they will be motivated to do more.
That's really lovely to hear. And I think, Tanie, I'm not sure you can share, because yesterday we talked about, a very good way to improve the morale, which has been done by UPS. Can you share?
Right. Okay. So that was back in, say, March. So think about it, right? COVID-19 started in end of January, and then it's like it took the China by storm, and then it came to Asia and all that. So I'm in charge of APAC business for HR, and I kind of put forward a proposition, and together with the leadership, we have made a decision, and that is, at that moment, our business wasn't doing well because everywhere else is closing shop, and we were really not doing our first quarter of this year. So we made a unanimous decision that we will continue to provide annual increments, the yearly annual increase exercise, even if we are making losses. Now, why do we take that position? Going back to my earlier point, we need people, especially this time, to stand in for us. The last we want is for people to leave us in this critical period. And not only that, over the past years, our employees have been chipping in very much during cost containment when our businesses were not doing well. So we tell ourselves, look, even if we are making losses, we want to give out AI, annual increment. And we base on even last year's planning, not based on the poor economy that we had, that we gave the percentage increment. We based on what we budgeted last year. Now, why do we do that? Because we need to win the hearts of the minds of our people, to let them know that we are for them and we are not prepared to let go of jobs unless our business go downstream. And we are even prepared for the leaders to even take a pay cut if our financial can't support it. We are even prepared to do that.
I was so surprised when you shared with me yesterday because, on a daily basis, what we hear is job cut, budget cut, everything is cut. So when you share with me, you guys actually, keep all the workforce and give them the salary increment. I think, UPS is a company that really walks the talk. They really care about their employees.
Yeah, thank you. So that was the first onset decision that we have made when this pandemic happens. So that's where we look at what are the activities that we can take to make people realize that we are not abandoning them. We are taking care of them.
This is the real action. Very good.
Thank you.
So Tanie, your current role is responsible for the overall human capital strategy for the entire APAC, which can be demanding at times. And I also know you have a lovely daughter. So what are your advice on balancing work and parenting?
Yeah, so on the personal front, I must tell you, it has not been an easy journey. Sometimes when we look at leaders and, people who are assuming big responsibility, it's like, it's a bed of roses, but actually it's not. I went through a lot in terms of trying to understand my personal motivation, my priorities in life, because I found that very necessary, because I need to understand what motivates me, why am I working so hard? What am I trying to accomplish for myself? At the end of the day, to me family is very important. And I will never go as far as I can, like what I have today, without the support from my family. When I talk about family, it's my immediate spouse and my child, and as well as my parents. So how do I balance? I would say that, I need to understand my priorities and then have great communication with them, let them understand they need to support me, because if they can't support me, I can't balance, I can't manage. And then the other thing is also align my priorities with my spouse and with my child. Because at the end of the day, my husband, he has his own aspiration as well. I just can't bulldoze my way around. So in terms of balancing, I need his understanding. And in terms of parenting, when my girl was young, we travel quite a bit, relocating. I don't mean just, business trip, but relocation. So we have made a conscious decision that we want our girl to be independent. So with that, we have to be the role model. So how do I balance in that sense? I need to be really disciplined and know when is my work time, when is my home time. Because I will never allow a maid, for example, a domestic helper to coaching with her. And also I need to have a very strong team at work. And to have a strong team doesn't mean that, I just hire from the outside all the strong people and then they can just fly. No. It takes a lot of coaching time. At the end of the day, it's about delegation, it's about hands-off, it's about setting the direction and let the people fly. So there are many, it's a loaded question. There's so much I can talk about this, but I think at the end of the day, I would still say that my personal prioritization and motivation, I need to know that very clearly so that I don't lose focus along the way.
It's never easy parenting, and then you're doing, you're having a high demand job. So well done on you, Tanie.
Thank you.
So Tanie, what tips could you share for working remotely?
Yeah, I would say that, now almost everyone is working from home, except for those who are providing essential services, right? So I assume that, by reading this question, you're talking about those working from home, right? So what tips perhaps I could share in terms of working from home? I would say set me time, right? Um, because sometimes, when it comes to working from home, instead of meeting people, we are sitting here in front of the screen making phone calls. Is almost, taking up all our time by just being locked down by this screen and chair. So I would say that it's important to just, set pockets of me time where I can just chill, do something else, set my mind off, the momentum of work, so that I can come back refreshed. Because to me, those me time is very important. And everyone just wants some chunk of your time. But at the same time, work is not just about doing, it's about thinking as well. So to me, those me time is also the thinking part that I need to really set for myself. Hey, how can I lead my team differently? How about the business? And even my family, I need to spend even over a drink with my girl, my daughter, for 10 minutes and then come back, hey, maybe I look at things differently. So, and also, I think it's very important to be disciplined. I'm still learning on that. It's not easy. Discipline on when to do certain things and when not to do certain things. Because all the more we need to set our time accordingly, because without you knowing, there'll be people wanting to just grab your time. So to me, oh, sorry, one other thing, routine. It's always to set a good routine on certain things. Of course, emergency happens, I get that. But as much as we can set a routine so that, we need to be respectful of each other's time at the same time as well. So I would say that these are some of the tips I would put forth. Yeah.
And I have extended questions. How does work get done at UPS? Since the COVID-19 hit, has it been difficult to implement working from home arrangement?
Yeah. It's really no choice that because of the government advisories that we have. So I must say that we did not have a teleworking program in the past. It was something that I have been trying to implement for many years, but somehow I didn't have the opportunity because of the business requirements and all that. So now finally, when this came, we managed to do that. And for the non-operations people, I call them non-operations, we could do that. And then it's important for the leaders to support, and at the same time, they are held responsible to engage with their people. Okay. In the past, we always hold our leaders accountable for results, correct? And it's very normal. We should do that because we are profit making, we want to be profit making companies. However, right now, we need to start holding our leaders accountable for engagement, because without an engaged team, especially remotely, there's no way that we can account for productivity and results, because only engaged workforce will be able to lead to greater good. So in the past, we always assume that people, they can engage themselves. Actually, that's not true at all. And I would say this working from home, teleworking, is really forcing us as leaders to do more with our people. And I love it. And I love it.
And what do the leaders do on a day-to-day basis or weekly basis to engage with their team, to engage with the rest of the company?
Yeah. So some of the examples I got was that, on a weekly basis, there was, in fact, my department, we did the same. We set aside an hour, not to talk about work, but to have fun. So it could be games, it could be asking, us to share what is our favorite thing at home. It could be talking about our concerns during this time, talking about what's going on around the world. I mean, that is human interaction. So really not to talk about work, just focus on people, on them. Yeah. So these are some examples I got.
That's really good. And Tanie, what are the micro steps we women can all take to manage work and home life?
Yeah. When you focus on women, I would say that, it's not easy because we take multiple hats, or we put on multiple hats. We've got so many multiple roles and responsibilities. So I would say that be nice to ourselves, you know. Um, don't be too hard on ourselves, because we want to be good in everything that we do naturally, right? Me too, right? But at the end of the day, we need to have self-care, and there's nothing wrong with beautifying ourselves in the morning, just to feel good. There's no harm in just giving a hug to family members, if you have family members living with you. No harm in just making a phone call to someone whom you care for, to say, hey, how are you? I'm thinking about you. So I think those are really self-care. And other people, when they receive it, they feel the love and the concern, can do the same to others. And that kind of lift up the spirit for everyone. And I'll call these micro steps. um, so in that sense, I always believe that, if our mental being is taken care of, then we can bring the best to work, be it working from home, or doing your essential services. So to me, I think this is critical and this is important.
And I completely agree with you. I do believe women, we're very nurturing and we always give. We never ask for return. So I think we have to love ourselves first in order to love everybody else around us, including our families, our colleagues, and friends.
Yeah, I've learned to be even a lot more appreciative than before. That's why I intentionally started the session with a thank you, with appreciation. And I always remind myself I have to do that, not because out of um, uh, monotony, but it's really so much going on. Each one of us deserve the praise and the encouragement. Yeah.
Absolutely. I completely agree with you. And Tanie, it appears that COVID-19 will speed up digital transformation. What skills do you see being in demand in the coming years?
Yeah. I would like to categorize maybe quickly into five. And of the five, I'm going to single out two. So I would say in the coming years, in the near future, I would see EQ, or in intelligence, emotional intelligence, including empathy, is important. Okay, and then creativity, the ability to look at things differently. Number three is flexibility and adaptability to the surrounding and to things around us. And number four is data literacy. And number five is tech savviness. Okay, I know this is a lot, but allow me to single out two. Okay, let me single out two. I would focus on empathy. EQ is such a broad topic, but especially now, we all see that humanity is even more important these days. And if we are not able to empathize with people around us, I think it's difficult to even have a strong relationship going forward. So to me, I think people skills, again, is very broad, but the ability to connect and to be on each other's shoes, and then to look at then what can we do further, I think that would be a skill that I will not, put it at the lower scale. And the next one is data analytics. I talked about data literacy just now. Now, especially in this time and age, I see that every position, every job, you need data. And every one of us could use data to tell a story, to prove a point, to convince someone or even the management and the company to do something, and to even to resolve a problem. So data is now a necessity, is no longer a luxury, it's a necessity, even in HR, in sales, in teaching, you name it. So to me, I would single out these two. If I could give advice to everyone to spend money on, I would say, go for these two.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I think data analytics is so critical in whatever you do. It doesn't matter what position you're in. You can be front office, middle office, back office. It's all about data nowadays.
Exactly. Exactly.
And Tania, how should we reskill then?
Yeah, you know, I'm not going to be a propaganda of some countries where the government, for example, Singapore, I live in Singapore. Singapore government is doing an excellent job in, granting subsidies and grants to companies and individuals to reskill. So I'm not going to talk about that, okay? More from a company's perspective. I think it's important for each company to decide what kind of organization that they want to be in, what kind of vision, what kind of strategy, because with that, then decide what kind of skills is needed in order to bring that company to the next level, right? So once you're able to identify the kind of company you want to be in, what kind of company the organization would like to shape into, what kind of skills you will need to go there, then you need to communicate to your leaders. Say, look, these are the skill set that's needed. And then look at the skills gaps that we have within the organization. If there isn't enough skills necessary to bring the company forward, I would highly recommend to look for training programs, looking for opportunities and even exposure opportunities to allow employees learn, experiment, and test out those skills. So and nowadays, especially when the pandemic happens, there's so many free courses out there, so many free webinars out there. We should utilize it, make the best out of it, and then encourage people to go for it. And of course, for companies who can afford organizing classes, training, by all means do that. So I would say that also it takes two hands to clap. Companies need to do their part. Employees also need to seize the opportunities by saying that, look, I'm hungry, I want to learn, because you can do as much as you can, but you can't clap with one hand.
Not at all. I agree with you, Tanie. And I think a lot of audience may ask, okay, where can we find those free resources? And I think from my point of view, I self-learn a lot, after setting up this tech platform. I'm not a tech person. So I think the easiest way is to, put in free data analytics courses on Google. Then there will be thousands of results that you can go after. Very easy.
Yeah. Actually, you just reminded me of one point. I always encourage people to be, have your mind and your eyes open. Why? Because even watching movie can be a learning as well. I give you one example. I learned through one movie that I still, is still so vivid in my mind. I can't remember the name of the movie. I think, the actor is George Clooney, where his job in the movie was to travel around the States to retrench people. And he went through the journey of, how he did it, and also showing us the impact of the people whom he has retrenched, and also the people, the network around those people. And I tell you, from there, at that point in time, I've not retrenched anyone before, but through the movie, I actually learned how to do that, and also put myself in the shoes of the people being retrenched. How would I feel? Then how would I do it differently? So even TV drama series, movies, I'm sure there are lessons learned out there as well.
So Tania, from what you just shared, so if we teach ourselves to have an open mind, so basically everything can be a learning.
I totally agree with that. Yeah.
That's very good. And Tanie, so last but not the least for our conversation, any words of wisdom for all of us today?
Yeah, I smile so widely because, I'm going to give you a quote that I got recently, just a couple of days ago, actually from my daughter. She's 13 years old. And out of the blue, she just mentioned this phrase. And she said, respect will get you to places, will bring you to places. I was like, hang on, that's very profound. And then the more I think about it, the more I think she's right, for sure. I mean, put it this way, you know, if any one of us, if every one of us has the respect for each other, and I don't mean that by having respect, you don't question things around us. I'm not saying that. We still have to question. We still have to scrutinize things around us. But at the same time, how do we do it with a respectful manner? You know, how do we even respect differences? And how do we respect, especially, you know, for people working in organizations, how do we ensure that we can respect the organizational history and ethics and values? And lastly, how do we have self-respect? You know, I would say this again, maybe I'm generalizing, but as a woman, I tend to doubt myself a lot in my younger days. You know, my confidence wasn't there. And it was then that I realized that, look, you know, I can choose to really respect myself and believe in myself and overcome things and look for ways and, you know, just surround myself with people who believe in me, or I can choose to sulk in my own ways. You know, so to me, you know, that line, although as simple as respect will bring you to places, you know, the more I think about it, it has so much dimensions and deep meaning to it. So I would like to share that with all of you as well.
And thank you so much. And Tanie, your daughter had that, you know, profound quote when she was just 13 years old, right?
I don't know where it came from, to be honest. I have no clue.
That's amazing. And Tanie, one of our audience, Nititra, actually said to us the movie that you mentioned from George Clooney. The name is Up in the Air.
Yes, thank you. Okay,
Well
I'll
done.
remember that now.
Well done, Nititra. So
Thank you.
we're moving on to our Q&A. We have received a lot of amazing questions from all of you, and thank you so much. They're all very relevant to what's happening right now, and I'm sure we all can learn from Tanie's answer. So this question is from Amanda. As a job seeker, how can I stand out in this challenging job market?
Well, the first thing I'm going to say is network as much as you can. Networking. If you have done that before, then you will realize the power of networking, whereby, you know, you can reach out to people. They will be willing to share, you know, anything that you need or you're curious about. And even just one person referring to something is so invaluable. So I would say that, you know, don't stop networking, continue, you know, and don't limit ourselves to just one pocket of people or one, you know, industry, for example. You know, cast your net as wide as you can. And for those of us, perhaps, you know, have not gone into the habit of networking, it's never too late to start now. LinkedIn, for example, is a wonderful platform. Half the Sky, for example, is another wonderful company who is more than willing to connect people around us and to encourage each other. So make use of those opportunities. You know, learn from each other. Say, hey, how do you? What's your perspective of things? You know, I'm a job seeker. What is it that you think that, you know, nowadays your company is looking for? You know, and ideas like that. So I would say networking for sure. That's number one. And be curious. Again, you know, I think you can hear from some of my comments earlier that I'm a believer of being curious. You know, I'm learning that as I grow older, because the more curious I am, the door is wider as I go, you know, as the time goes by. Meaning I can see more things. And sometimes I'll be surprised that I see things that I never thought I would. So be curious, you know, willing to explore and read up and keep abreast of what's going on around us and around the world. Because you may not know, you know, when you go for interviews or even dialogue with someone whom you may not know is an interviewer, but who knows, when you dialogue with someone may be so impressed with you and remember you when there's an opening somewhere, you know, somehow, and reach out to you. Who knows? So I would say, you know, be curious, network as much as you can, you know, keep abreast of what's going on around us. Then I would say that you will be different from the rest of the incumbents. I would suggest that.
Thank you, Tanie. And this question is from Nazia. What should I do in order to be an asset as a legal secretary?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you for the question. And I can see that it's very specific, legal secretary. Uh, so I would say that, look, I don't think I'm in a position to comment about the technical skills of this job or even any other job. So I would have to make the assumption that the technical capabilities and skills is already there and we are at a competent level. Then I would say that, in order to be an asset for any company, we need to first understand the culture of the organization, meaning what kind of behaviors and culture that organization values. See, some companies, they value, straight results orientation. How you get there, I don't care, right? Just get me the results. Some companies, teamwork is critical, right? So, and there are many other different examples. So I would encourage you to find out what is the core values of the company, what is really the acceptable and encouraged behavior and culture for this organization, and then look at ourselves to see if we are able to exhibit that. If we are not doing that enough, then what can we do differently so that we can demonstrate that behavior and get help around us, be open to feedback, and then continuously keep changing and learning and improving. I hope that answered the question.
And Tanie, let's say, for example, if I want to join a company like UPS, and obviously I've never worked at UPS before, how can I find out the culture of UPS or any other companies?
Right. So I would say there are a couple of ways. One is that, the easiest way, of course, that is if you know of someone already working there, right? So that's the easiest. Then if not, then I would say read up from articles, interviews with leaders that are already posted out there, and list and look for the comments from these leaders. It will tell you what exactly they are looking for. And even if you could consider Glassdoor, Glassdoor, you have lots of comments by people, either they are within the organization or already left the organization. Then you will be able to see what are they saying about this company. Are they are they not a people focused organization? They treat people badly. Are they they encourage, they are always getting praises by their leaders. You can actually get some ideas from there, from the comments and feedback from people. So I'll suggest that, those are the areas we can look at.
That's a great tip. And Natha is asking us, how much would the pandemic change job types in the future? Would this make a big change and also the way organizations operate?
Yeah. Before this pandemic arrives, we have been talking about disruptions, right? And disruptions like technological progress, globalization or deglobalization, depending on which political party you fall under. So many things that happen around. Those already started, whether we like it or not, at least 2-3 years ago. Those disruptions already started to champion the change in the future of work. However, I think earlier you did mention, Sabrina, that pandemic did and does and still accelerating the need to change the types of jobs in the future, right? So I would say that, yes, it is now a wake-up call for governments, for private sectors, and even for individuals to evaluate our need to embrace this change quicker, right? So will this mark a big change? Yes, for sure. And now organizations will have to think differently. We all know that technology is going to be the pathway in doing many things. It will be. Then the question is, how quickly can every organization pivot and adapt to that change and look at their own internal processes and how to engage those future of work requirements, and individually, how adaptable and flexible are we? Going back to the earlier point, how adaptable and flexible are we willing to try new things. So I would say, yes, it's going to be a big time change.
And truth to be told, right, Tanie, we basically have no choice individually and as an organization to change, to adapt to change and to transform quickly.
Yes, and you know, just to just link a little bit more, I've been hearing that technology will replace many jobs, right? There are talks about that as well. True, in a sense. However, there's only one side of the coin. The other side of the coin is technology will also create many new jobs that we don't even know, you know? So I would say that, yes, if we are used to doing something yesterday, it may not be there tomorrow. However, if we, being human beings, and we are adaptable people, I mean, adaptable beings, we can choose to embrace what is to come and find ways to see how we can leverage so that we can catch up with the time to come. So I would say that, you know, at the end of the day, it's about our curiosity, our mindset, the networking to get you to people around you, you know, and be patient with ourselves and have that self-respect, self-confidence. You know, all this will be able to lead us to the right direction and support each other. Don't leave anyone behind. We need to support each other, especially, you know, again, maybe I'm biased, the females, you know.
No, you're not biased. It's absolutely true. So Tanie,
Yeah.
would you say, you know, all of us, we have to retrain, relearn, reskill right now because of the technology transformation that will actually create so many more opportunities, but we may not have the skill set to do the job or to stay relevant, you know, in the future of work?
Yes, for sure. Hands down, please don't stop learning. Don't stop trying. It's okay to fail. When I say fail, of course, I don't mean, you know, fail until you bankrupt. No, I don't mean that. I mean, sometimes, who knows, even bankruptcy can help us to learn, to grow even to a better, you know, future. So I guess my point is, don't give in when things are not turning out the way we want it, because the door will open somehow, right? Just remember, we are all in one together in this. And at the same time, you know, I really respect, you know, Half the Sky. Again, I'm not trying to sell your company, but but it is true. Companies such as yours, right, is where we can gather people and find ways to do things better. You know, I'm more than happy to join any forums or discussion or answer any questions, you know, to help each other, because I've been through a difficult time myself in the past. And it's people around me, it was the people around me who helped me get through the difficult times. Yeah.
Thank you for your sharing, Tanie. And this question, so we have two from Joycelyn. So how will HR function work in the post-COVID world? And will HR jobs or even office-based back-end jobs still exist given the direction the economy is going?
Yeah, so now back to specific on HR. You know, different companies will have different expectations of what a HR function should do. Some companies are still treating HR like an admin function, admin department, you know, like organizing seminars, tracking of reports, you know, all the very mundane and administrative, which is nothing wrong. Those needs to be done, okay? But there are some other companies who are looking at HR at a different angle, expecting HR to shape the culture, to augment the competencies of the workforce, to prepare the people and the company to face the future needs of the business. So again, depends on how a company view HR department. I would say that post-COVID-19, more and more administrative jobs will go away, like it or not, because technology is catching up. A lot of things can be done by technology. So if a company continues to hold to the notion that HR only needs to do admin work, yes, I would say HR jobs will disappear. However, if a company chooses to use HR to position its workforce for the future in many ways that I can share, you know, in detail if you're interested, then I would say no, HR job is going to be lasting forever. because we deal with people, we deal with human beings, and people will have to continue to be the main drive to all businesses.
True. Thank you, Tanie. And Kellen is asking you two questions. What are the key 2 to 3 attributes that employees are now looking for, apart from the specialized knowledge required for a particular role? And how can we demonstrate that in interviews?
Yeah, so thank you for the questions. And I will still go back to my earlier points that I spoke about. If we really want the 2 to 3 attributes that will set ourselves apart and different from people around us, I'll go back to the curiosity, the EQ, and the adaptability, right? When you talk about curiosity, during interviews, for example, I would say ask questions, right? And I don't mean any other question. I mean relevant questions to demonstrate curiosity. Can be questions about the organization, can be questions about the individual, the interviewer himself, herself, or even, questions about the physical environment, assuming if you're in, face-to-face interview in the office, for example. You can talk about, hey, I saw this banner that you display out there. What does it mean to you? Why do you all display that? And what does those words mean to you as an organization? So it shows that you are observant and you are curious about things around you, right? So I would say curiosity is number one. And then EQ, right? During interview, smile a lot. Okay, relax, sit back. Of course, not lifting up your legs, but just relax. Chill back a little bit, and even have dialogue with the interviewer. Hey, I noticed your name is quite interesting. Tell me a little bit. Are you, from this country? How's your family? How's your weekend? Those small little chats. It does shows your confidence, whether you like it or not. It does shows that you are sure of yourself, and this demonstrates also to a certain extent your ability to network, to EQ. You just have that sensitivity to people around you. And then the last part on adaptability, ask behavioral questions. Like, sorry, I don't mean ask. Mention behavioral comments, like how you overcome certain challenges in different environments, right? What is your perspective to things when you were experiencing different situations? Because that shows that you are able to adapt. You're able to, put on your thinking hat to ask yourself how you're going to maneuver yourselves in those different situations and circumstances. That demonstrates your adaptability. So again, I will go back to those three. Interviews, you can actually say those things and do those things, and to demonstrate those skills or attributes.
Tanie, I'm going to put you in the spot a little bit since you talk about interviews. Any quick tips for us? Because I think we're still going to have virtual interview for quite some time. When we interview for a job virtually, any tips for us?
Well, I would say that virtual, those three things, by the way, still will still be relevant, right? Being curious and relax, smile, share about your experiences. Now virtually, I would say that because it's kind of a confined environment, then I would say that take the opportunity to ask the individual in terms of if there's something else that you could say or you could provide that is different from even the normal face-to-face, right? And one tip is also, because the person can't see what you have around you, right? Like now you can't see what's around me. I've got cheat sheets around me. I've got information somewhere, and I can have post-it on my screen that you don't get to see. So yeah, those are the kind of tips perhaps you could use. And when maybe again I don't mean by cheating, but when maybe certain things that they ask, you're not sure, how do I address it, or maybe I don't understand what she meant by this word. maybe you can, if you're quick enough and if you're nimble enough, you could actually check out, the answers of, or rather the answers to what you are asking yourself, and perhaps say, okay, I get it, and this is what I can say. So
Mm.
there are a few things that you can do behind the scene, but I would say that at the end of the day, please, don't make it as if like you're fumbling, because at the end of the day, you still, at any one of us, we still need to be ready for an interview, get all these things ready. And if we refer to anything, it will just be just a reminder.
Mm. So from what you just shared, so prepare like how it would for face-to-face, even you do virtual interview. And I think the other tip that I got will be declutter your background. Make sure it's really organized. And I think do your research is really important as well.
Yes, yes. Know who we are talking to, know the industry, and be yourself.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And the last question for our Q&A before we move on to, I think we have two more questions from the audience live. So Jensita is asking you, how can you show your relevancy, performance, productivity remains high despite working from home arrangement?
Yeah. So this is specific to me, right? Tanie, as in me.
Yes.
So I would say that the relationship with my manager is important, because I need him to trust me that the time I spend at home is literally working, and I'm not skiving, and I'm not, doing things that is not productive and serving the organization. So to get there, the good relationship, I need to establish that relationship prior, right? And I can tell you, I'm in this role for 2 years, and I didn't know my manager before. So I have to start from scratch. Initially, it was, I don't know if he knows me. I have to literally create an opportunity where I spend tremendous time with him, like in an airplane, when we travel together. So he had no choice. I need to ask him about him. He needs to ask me about me. So now that we are in this pandemic period, we can't travel. So in order for me to demonstrate that he can trust me, and I'm still working, in terms of relevance and all that, I would say I will continue to talk to him a lot, send him lots of emails to show him this is what I've done, schedule meetings with him regularly to let him know, now this is what I'm doing. I would like to brainstorm this with you. What do you think? What do you say? Until a point where maybe he should say, he will say, Tanie, I think enough, maybe we can space out a little bit. That's already too much. So I trust that you are doing what you need to do. So, if I don't have that relationship, then perhaps that's what I will do. Yeah. So
Thank
I
you,
hope that
Tanie.
answered the question. Yeah.
I'm sure you did. Tanie, do you have some time to take two questions from the audience now?
I'm okay. Well, if everyone is willing, to stay on, yes.
Perfect. So this question is from Barbara. She was asking, how did UPS go about building trusting relationship with all employees? Is there any initiatives or trainings that you guys conducted?
Yeah, I'm a firm believer that it comes from the top. It comes from the top, because to me, role modeling is very important. It's just like one-to-one. Why should I trust you unless I believe and sense that you are sincere, right? That I believe and trust that whatever you say you do, you mean it, and then I can see action out of you, that you are helping me. So how do we do that in the company, in UPS? I would say that, I spend a lot of time with my leaders in letting them understand our UPS leadership expectation, the skills expectation that we expect from each one of us. And and there is we have the capabilities and character. We tell everyone, look, character is important, integrity. Because we tell everyone that if you do not demonstrate an integrity behavior, our people will not believe us. So, and the thing is, we hold ourselves accountable by peers. I'm HR. I'm also responsible for my peers. So if I see and get feedback from people about certain leaders' behavior, of course, I need to ask for facts, to show me exactly what happened. Then I will talk to my peers to say, hey, guys, I got this feedback. Whether you like it or not, it is a perception that you have created, right? So maybe we need to start looking at how we can change it. And also, just now earlier, we talked about the culture of organization. In UPS, we create this vision map where we set the expectation that these are the behaviors that we want the people to have. So in a way, everyone knows that, okay, if you are working in UPS, this is what we need to do. For example, we want people to be agile. We want people to be empowered. So we need our leaders to empower the people, right? So the more that we can have the exchange with the employees, and when people see more and more success stories that come forward, then obviously there'll be trust. So this is what I've been advocating and pushing, and that is the change culture. At the same time, increasing our leadership's capability to manage the workforce through change.
Thank you, Tanie. And we have another question from Connie. How do we get past the algorithm which sift out CV before nailing an interview?
Sorry, can you repeat the question again?
Sure. How do we get past the algorithm which sift out CV? Because a lot of companies nowadays, they use applicant tracking system to screen out CV that is not relevant to the job that they're posting. So I think Connie is asking, how can we get past that to make sure that the CV is being viewed by the hiring manager, and then she will possibly get an interview?
Right. I think this is a great question. So thank you very much. I would say, at the end of the day, it is a live individual, excuse me, a live individual who is going to ask questions, is going to see you. It can be a hiring manager. It could be a recruiter. At the end of the day, there'll be an individual that, we will be interacting with, right? So going back to what we discussed earlier about, the curiosity, the confidence, making sure that, you're able to understand, keep yourself abreast of things around. My point is this: if we are able to get to the point of having a face dialogue, seize the opportunity to demonstrate those traits. Because at the end of the day, yes, I know that companies are right now screening using algorithms, using the back end, even psychological, what do you call that? Psychological kind of assessment and all that. So they will only want to see people that went through that screening. So that part we can't change that. But however, as soon as we have an opportunity to have a FaceTime, do those, demonstrate those. Yeah. And at the same time, remember I talked about networking earlier? Because sometimes networking helps, because if I know you, right, I recommend you to whoever who is hiring, chances are you already bypass that technological screening. That could happen too.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
I think, Tanie, that's some really good tips there. And I think in some other webinar, I also share with the audience a keywords technique that I talked about. So you can check out the webinar on our platform, what I've actually shared. So thank you, Tanie, for today. And thank you everyone so much for joining us. We have a lot of resources to share with you on our platform. So make sure you sign up on halftheskyAsia.com. It's completely free. And you also receive exclusive event invites like this, job alerts, thought leadership content, and resources. Again, it's completely free. And we also have 2 more events coming up in June. So first is how do women stay ahead of the curve in an automation, innovation, and technology era, and how to future-proof your career in 2020 and beyond. So make sure to check them out on our event page. So again, thank you so much, Tanie, for your time today, and stay safe, everybody, and take care.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure. Appreciate it. Bye.
Bye, everyone.